guys, I thought I would send you a video. We just got back from a really long walk that was a terrific experience. I'll tell you about in a minute. And of course, my sweet baby is in her place command after she got some water and is ready to relax for a bit. So anyway, rather than send an email, too many words and too much excitement for me anyway, which might sound ridiculous, but let me start with the first week of this board and train with Misty and how fantastic it has been, not just because of her and her learning curve and how she's responding to things, but for me personally and what she's taught me in the last week. It's shifted things on their axis for me in many ways in respect to Misty, but also just how I approach or will approach dogs from now on. She's taught me a great deal. It is not going to be very common to come across dogs like her who are so organic and in touch with that natural canine instinct and drive and so forth. I mean, the American Dingo here is really unique in that way. Short of a wolf hybrid, it's highly unlikely to find another dog like her or like her breed. Nonetheless, what she has taught me is going to be useful for every dog I meet now. So as I had mentioned to you, I really focus on, one, trying to find the strengths of the dog and the natural proclivities and personality of the dog, and then teach and train to it to suit each individual dog. That would include their drives, what drives are strong, what drives are not as strong, and try to find some balance. And so I approach dogs initially with a very similar tactic, which is really about putting them on a long line, getting a sense of their drive, getting to know them. Do they have strong prey drive, weak prey drive? Do they have strong pack drive, and so on and so forth? So we already knew that she has intense prey drive, right? So that was a given. But what she has taught me, and then of course I went about researching and reading everything I could get, read your book, and then messaged a few people, some breeders and some people who work with Carolina dogs. And what was really hammered home to me, which is something that I was starting to perceive in her this past week, which is that her pack drive is just as strong as her prey drive. Now that may sound evident to you, but for me, in terms of trying to give her a learning experience that is meaningful and will last and will suit her personally, understanding how strong her pack drive is essential to developing a plan for her. And as her pack drive became more evident over the last week, as being equally strong to her prey drive. She's perfect balance in that natural sense. What I realized was that there are some commands that just don't suit her. She's going to fluff it up. There are some commands that just simply are not going to suit her. And let me give you an example. As I mentioned, or might have mentioned in an earlier video, I was working with her on doing a down stay. Lay down, stay there until I release you. She hates it. Hates it. Part of teaching the downstay is that the dog goes down and has to stay put while I move away from them and move around them and step over them. And they must stay put and basically be left. Okay, so her sense of pack becomes very, very challenged. I had been referring to this as an exercise in impulse control. But what she taught me was that for Misty, this was less about impulse control and more about her deep, deep, deep drive to be with her pack, which right now is me. So she didn't want me to leave. So every time she'd hop up, I had the same experience if I just tried to do stay. Now she'll do stay here in the room. She'll do stay in a boundaried situation for me, almost as if she knows I'm going to be here in the boundary, in a fenced yard, in a house, in this training room. She does stay. But if I go outdoors, she's on a long line, we're out in the yard or we're on the beach or anywhere, and I tell her stay, she cannot execute it. Now, I suppose that I could eventually work her into submission to do it. but I don't see any reason why I would want to do that for her. So commands that I had once referred to for most dogs as impulse control, for Misty, it has nothing to do with impulse control. I mean, it has something to do with it, but what really makes those difficult for her is that her drive, the instinct that is baked into her bones, into her heart, into her psyche, is to be with me or you, her pack. So knowing that, then I needed to make a decision. Is it worth me trying to bend her to my will? You're going to stay no matter how bad you want to be with me. Or does that really make sense? Like, on what occasions is it going to be so important that she stays over there away from you? Instead, I decided it makes more sense to focus on commands that give her direction and play to her pack drive. So, for example, one of the things that I do with her when we're on a leash or a long line, or for that matter, if she's dragging the line, if she thinks she's off leash, in addition to come, the recall just come, I use the word here. And what here means, and I'll show you this, but what here means is get back over here around me. It's like, think of it as a really loose, informal heel. She needs to be up in here someplace, not stuck to my hip, but somewhere around here. So here means stick with me, basically. Hang out here with me. You're with me. I started using that command paired with the leave it command. And the leave it command doesn't impact her in terms of her pack drive at all. It helps with prey drive, but it's irrelevant to her pack drive. So when we started passing dogs, it was always at a distance on leash or on the beach. I would say, leave it here. So leave it, which is don't think about that dog, which has, moderate effect. But then when I say here and tell her, come to me, come be with me, I'm using her very, very strong pack drive to say, don't do that, come over here and do this. And it started working beautifully. It started to click the last couple of days when it clicked for me. For her, she was just waiting for me to figure it out. So I have let go of the down stay command, and the only time I use the stay command is when she's with me and I want her to stay with me versus stay over there while I'm over here. So I still use stay, and she's excellent at it when she's here with me. So in other words, stay means stay right here with me. But whenever I use stay or here, or for that matter, any of the commands, leave it, let's go, come, it is all based in accentuating the use of the pack drive, which for her is tremendous. So I am really, really pumped about this. I've gotten rid of any notion of doing the downstay. So the commands that we're working on, when she's on leash, we have a whole conversation. I will say here, I will say stay. I'll make her sit from time to time and stay, but she's always at my side when that's happening. We also do come and of course break, which means you're free to roam about. So she's developing a leash long line vocabulary, which is terrific. And then from there, I'm only worrying about place, the place command, because the place command is all about pack drive. We're going to stay here. You're going to stay right around here with me. She loves the place command. So place, recall, leash, and all of its language. And what is the last one? Oh, leave it. So all of these things are coming together to say, you're with me. You're able to go out and enjoy your prey drive and you be you and do your thing. But when I give you commands, it's all going to be about, come on over back here. Get back into this world with me. And she loves it because her pack drive is so strong and it is so lovely. It is so lovely. She's sleeping? Yeah, she's fine asleep. So before I close this video, here's what I wanted to tell you. I'm out on the long line with her just a few minutes ago, right before I got home with her for this video. I'm out on the long line and I'm doing what I always do, which is she gets to roam and sniff and explore. We're on the street in the neighborhood. She's doing her thing, and sometimes I say come and have her come to me, and then I break her immediately, so it's never a capture. Sometimes I say here, which means just come walk closer to me. Sometimes I tell her to stay, sometimes I tell her to sit. So we're mixing it up, and we're doing this whole salad of vocabulary. when as we come around the corner is this little dog who I happen to know. His name is Boo Boo, and he's a Chihuahua mix. He's about 100 years old, and he's a thick little dude, and he's all gray, and he's never on a leash. He's always just kind of moving around the yard or two next to him. He's old, so he doesn't travel far. So what Boo Boo always does, and I know this about Boo Boo, is he comes out toward a dog and he starts grumbling and growling. And he does not charge. So I had a comfort of knowing that. So Boo Boo gets about 6 feet from us as we're walking. And then I know what he's going to do. As we walk past him, he's going to go break to smell our path. So knowing Boo Boo made this a lot easier. So what I did was when I saw Boo Boo down the road, knowing we were going to pass him, I shortened her up on the long lead so that the lead was actually about 4 feet, 5 feet. So as we came around, I'm holding the remote and she's on leash. So she's wearing the slip lead, long line, and the remote collar. So what I did was the remote collar is paired with all of her commands now, so that if she's really excited and she doesn't hear the command the second time, I give it a blink. So she sees this little guy coming up. Here comes Boo Boo. And she starts to posture. And I said, leave it here. And I gave her a tug. She came over to me, but then wasn't totally connected. So I said here again. And that time I gave her a signal. She came right back over to me and looked up at me with that little dog about 6 feet from her. Looked up at me. She did not bark or growl. She was escalated, but not crazy escalated. Not frightfully escalated by any stretch of the imagination. So we kept moving as one should. And I just kept giving her a little tap saying, here, here. And if I don't think I even used the remote a second time. Anyway, went past without incident, without any crazy acting out from her, with this little Boo Boo growling at her and coming at her. So I could not have been more delighted. In the coming days, she has not been introduced to my dogs because I want to use them as stunt dogs. So in the coming days, I'm going to set up a video camera and have her walking by dogs. I'll be holding her. Deb will be walking one of our dogs, all of whom are basically strangers to her. The other thing is this morning, she was in the place command on a corunda bed out in the driveway as per usual, sitting out in the sun and tethered on a long line. So she had plenty of room to get off the bed, but she could only go about another 2 feet if she did that. She's got the remote collar on. So I'm sitting there, and here comes a dog, a big American bulldog, good energy, but big boy. And he's chugging along, and he looks over at her, and she starts to hop off. And she gets about 2 paws. She's almost about to step off with her back paws. Her front paws are off. And I took the lead, and I just went, boom, and said, place. And she hopped back up on the bed, and then she started to move again, so I gave her a tap on the remote. And she stopped, and all she did was bark twice and then just kind of grumble and then lay down again. So I was delighted. The place command is really starting to set in with her, and she really likes it. So the implications for more comfortable walks, more comfortable camping experiences are really great, and I'm really pumped up about it. And I'm really, really excited about what she's teaching me, let alone what I'm teaching her. So, okay, sorry, I know I'm verbose. I know this is long, but just wanted you to know everything is really good. And I'll check in with you later.